Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Apologize for the lack of edits in the most recent video. I had to get a video out eventually. I'm be honest, I took a little bit of the easy way out. Put the intro in, put the notice, and that was it. I'm sorry for that. That won't happen again, I believe, for a bit, but in the time of the year that I'm at, I still want to push out content for you guys, just like the video today. So my apologies. Likely won't be happening again, but if I do, I'll let y'all know and I'll apologize for it afterwards. Now, today's video is a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? Of course, we still have ball knowers, which is going to be happening, which probably happened before this video goes out, because I don't even know when this video is going out. Again, as per I usually don't. But so the plan for this week, it's the NBA season preview today, which I'm very excited to bring to you guys. And we also the NHL season preview on Friday, which is I'm very excited for that. I don't know if I'm doing it with my squad still, the people I was planning on doing it with. I don't know if I'm doing it alone. I don't know. There's a lot up in the air for Friday. I'll film it like Friday morning ish and try and get it out ASAP. Even though it's a little bit into the NHL season, I still have my predictions from when I made them back a couple weeks ago, but I didn't have time because of all the other videos I had to put out. The plan is the next regular video is not for a week till a week from Friday. Now I know that's a while, but international break review is next Tuesday. So it'll be NBA season preview today, NHL season preview on Friday, and we're going to have international break review on Tuesday, a week from this video going out. So that would be on the 22nd is when that video would be up. So all chaos could happen in these upcoming videos. Listen, this is the best I can do right now, but let's go into my season predictions. So we're gonna go from 15-1 in each conference. We're gonna do my NBA champions and one or a couple of the awards. So let's dive right into it. So I just gotta write down one thing, and while I'm writing down this one thing on my phone, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Would be really appreciated. Also, by the way, as I continue to write this stuff, shout out to everyone that watched the stream on Saturday on Empire Sports Media. Everyone that watched the show on Friday with JJ, it was appreciated. That brand I've been working with for over a year now, probably as long as I've been working with ESPN, which I hit a milestone over the weekend. Oh no, it's been a couple weeks now, but I haven't brought it up yet. Back this up a little bit. Hey now. It's been over a year since my ESPN debut. It's actually an on-air debut. It's kind of nuts to say that. And I appreciate everyone's like motivation to keep me going with that. There's a chance I broadcast on Saturday, but I just don't know yet. There's a lot up in the air regarding that. So whenever I have information on that, I'll let y'all know. So y'all can tune into whenever my next game may be. This is what I was going to talk about. Instagram with my broadcast highlights. Friday's video might have an update with that. I don't have one right now. I'm getting the footage today, and hopefully we have like maybe a mixtape or two, like of my best calls from the week, from the first couple of games that I've done over the last year, this year, could be in play for an Instagram post. I don't know yet. So, like I said, make sure to follow me at rbasel_11. Follow the Instagram for this channel at the Robbie Basel Show. Let's get into this. So I'm done wasting your time. The worst team in the Eastern Conference. Who do I have being the worst. The worst team in the East is the Washington Wizards. I have the Wizards down here. I mean, they have a couple of intriguing players, mainly Kyle Kuzma. They have a couple of other veterans, Jordan Poole, Valanciunas, and Malcolm Brogdon. I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if two of the four would be gone at the deadline. They don't have a lot of continuity and they don't really have a direction. What does that lead to? A mess. That's putting it lightly. The Washington Wizards will be the worst team in the East. They have a top 10 protected pick owed to the Knicks. They have talent, but they're not gonna like be interconnected. I think they're the worst team in the East, and they will be down in my number 15 slot. Number 14. We're gonna just go right through this. We ain't messing around today, because we got 30 teams to talk about. So let's keep it rolling. Number 14. I just gotta scroll through my list because I did this by city name like an idiot. There we go. Sorry about that, chat. Is Brooklyn. Now the Brooklyn Nets, um, they are in a rebuilding phase. They traded Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks. Uh, they have some other veterans that could be traded. The question will be Cam Thomas. I believe that's who it is. It's Cam Thomas, right, chat? Yeah, Cam Thomas. Can he continue to emerge as a legit scorer for this Brooklyn Nets team? Hopefully if they haven't already, they get him to become a long-term face for this team. I see the potential in Cam Thomas at the point guard position. I think he can be very, very good. It just sucks for him that he's playing for the Brooklyn Nets. But in the end, I don't think this team is going to really do anything. They're in a direct rebuild, headlined, of course, by Cam Thomas. And I don't know who else will be able to emerge for them from the get-go. So I am going to have the Brooklyn Nets down in 14th. Yeah, straight moving on. 13th is a team that I struggled to find a spot for. And that is the Detroit Pistons. Now, they were the team that had the worst record last year. They had the worst team last season. But they really improved and they need to improve. Headlined, of course, they are headlined of course by Cade Cunningham, who will be playing at the point guard position. They made a couple of a good free agency signings. So they have a team that can maybe do some things, but I just don't see it for them either. You know, they have a lot still to work on, and I think, yeah, I'm gonna say 13th. I think 13th is a very fair shout for the Detroit Pistons. They got my boy Danius Jenkins. Shout out to him. I know he's probably not watching this video. He plays for the Pistons. He's been on their preseason roster. He's been playing in a couple of the preseason games. So Detroit, they have some intriguing pieces. They're a season away from being in that. I think they could. I'll word it like this: they can compete for a play-in. I just think there are teams that are better and better built compared to the Detroit Pistons, and therefore I'm going to have them in 13th. I think they are. I think there's about a 4 or 5 team bundle of squads that can be in like 13th and squads that can be in the play-in. And we'll go through more of these teams right now. Like the team I have ahead of them, and we'll move right to them. That's the Charlotte Hornets. I have the Charlotte Hornets and LaMelo Ball in 12th position in the East. Now, this team can be good. They can be. They're not. They're not. They don't look like a team that's going to be at the bottom. I'll be honest there. They have some talent, but I think they are going to have to trade some value assets at the deadline. Grant Williams, Cody Martin, I just think they need to get younger and try to continue their rebuild. LaMelo Ball being the face of it, of course. And I don't know what direction Charlotte can go, but I still think they have enough talent to be better than a team like Detroit. Because Detroit, we don't know how good they're going to be. They were the worst team in the league last year. Due to them, us not knowing what they're going to bring. I mean, they have a couple of very intriguing pieces along with Cade Cunningham. Ron Holland, I think, is one of those Pistons players to watch out for this season. Can he emerge and be really good for that Detroit Pistons team? But right now, I think for Charlotte, they have a couple of better players. I think both of those teams will have very little expectations for them. Um, it's just disappointing because they do have a top 14 protected pick owed to San Antonio. So I don't even know if they're going to have their first round picks. Charlotte, they're not going to be great either. And I have them for those reasons in 12th. Now, this is where I get really disappointed because this is like my first maybe bold shout. That's the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Chicago Bulls, I think, can be a 35 win team. But I also think it'd be a 20-win team. Now, the Bulls traded Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, and I don't like that trade whatsoever. They lost DeMar DeRozan. They lost Caruso. DeMar DeRozan, I believe, is on the Sacramento Kings. And with Vucevic maybe being traded, I think that is a very big possibility. We don't know the direction they have or the future is unknown. For Zach LaVine, they have Kobe White. They drafted that guy who's from Chicago. I forgot his name, but he was supposed to be like really, really good. I'm just forgetting his name. I don't follow the NBA. Nice. I don't follow the NBA as much. So if you see my analysis being a little bit worse than usual, the NBA isn't my strong suit. Just warning y'all now. So if my predictions suck, you know what? So Chicago, they have some very talented players. Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball might be coming back. So maybe they have a point guard. I just don't know how good they're going to be with the pieces they've lost. I think they've gotten significantly worse. So I'm going to have them just outside of the play-in. Give me Chicago in 11th. 10th, it's going to be the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Raptors, ever since they've won the championship, that championship in like 2019 or whatever it was. They've been on the downward spiral ever since. Now, they're going to be competitive, and they have some good players. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Grady Dick. They have some solid guard play. They have no shooting. So 3-point scoring, the deep ball isn't going to really be there. I don't see them being competitive in the play-in. I really see if there's any team Chicago would jump for a play-in spot, I would have it as Toronto. They're not very good in comparison. I mean, I don't know if that Toronto team has as much of a superstar like a Zach LaVine. I mean, they have a Scotty Barnes, but I think he's going to be the main protagonist on why this team could be a play-in team. I like Scotty Barnes. He brings a lot to the table. Can he merge with RJ, IQ, and Grady Dick? That's the thing to watch out for them. I have them in 10th. They're going to be competitive, but the third team I'm about to mention is going to be in the mix with them for those two bottom play-in spots, and that's the Atlanta Hawks, who I have in 9th. Now, Atlanta, I've been to the Atlanta, by the way, and I have not been inside the State Farm Arena, but it's a pretty cool place. Now, the Hawks have pivoted, and I mean they traded. Didn't they trade DeJounte Murray? They traded DeJounte, right? Well, I thought I was on a video and we broke this. All right, New Orleans. That's where the Pelicans are going to get. DeJounte getting traded to the Pelicans. Maybe a breakout year from Jalen Johnson, I think is a good shout. Trae Young, though, is going to be the pivotal piece for this team. And I think they could be like a shock team to make a couple of moves at the deadline or make some moves as the season goes on because they don't have their own first round pick. So without their own first round pick, they're going to have to make some trades to maybe make that pick worse for San Antonio because that's who's owed the pick because of the original DeJounte Murray trade. So I'm intrigued. I think this team could be get into in as the eighth seed in the playoffs, but right now for regular season standings, I have them in ninth. I think Trae Young can lead this team to something good, but I just don't see them being better as some of the teams I'm about to mention. One of them is the eighth seed, a team that I think can really be competitive, and that is the Miami Heat. Now, they have a lot of upside. You know, they love overachieving, and the final year of Jimmy Butler before the player option, they're gonna have to be good. What this could maybe be the last year of Miami being really, really good. I mean, they're gonna be a very difficult team to predict because it's Jimmy Butler. They still have Bam Adebayo. They have a decent depth behind them all. It's just we don't know how good the depth is going to be because this team loves to overachieve. If you follow this Miami Heat squad for the last couple of years, you know this Miami Heat team loves to overachieve. They are not like who's an underachiever? The Knicks. Well, before last year, the Knicks. The Knicks. Anyway, back to our friends in Miami. The boys from South Beach, they're gonna be like a threat to some of the teams, possibly ahead of them. I think they're going to be able to compete. Wow, with an Orlando, Indiana. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with Milwaukee or a Cleveland, but I think they can compete in the bottom half of the better teams in the East, and I think they can make it the playoffs automatically as like a six seed at highest for me. Very difficult team to predict. At one point, I had them in sixth. One point, I had them even in 10th. So I said, let's put them right in the middle. I think this is a very fair spot. I'm going to go Miami in eighth. And I think they'll a typical duel between two teams that love the play in Miami and Atlanta. I'd say Miami would make the playoffs over Atlanta. So I have the Heat as my eighth seed. And coming in this number seven spot, a team that was in on Paul George and could not get it done, is Orlando. They added a good veteran floor spacer with KCP. They almost got Paul, like I said, they almost got Paul George. I don't think they are ready yet to take the leap again. And what I mean by that is they overachieved last year. And that's putting it lightly. This Orlando team really overachieved. And I don't know if they are ready to compete with some of the big boys out in the East. So like your New York's, Philly, Boston, I mean, they played Cleveland, but you get my point. I don't think they're ready for that yet to really be up there. They're very close. I think next year will really be the emergence season. It could be this year too. Who knows? But I think Orlando, finishing in seventh, probably making the playoffs. I think for Disneyland, at Disneyland BC, I think that's very fair. Putting Orlando, led by Paulo Banchero, and a good amount of guard play behind him. Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs is on that team. They got some very good forwards as well. They're building, I think, something. Franz Wagner's there. I think they're building something really special in Orlando. They're one season away from really emerging, but the window is really starting to open now for the Orlando Magic. I have them in seventh. Coming in at number six, the team that dethroned the New York Knicks in the playoffs last season. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. That's the Indiana Pacers. I think this team can be top four. but they're really well constructed. If you look at the Indiana Pacers, headlined by Tyrese Halliburton, we'll take a look at their squad because this is the first team you really can look at. Like this team, I think can be really, really good. Like top three in the East, good. Obi Toppin will be a starter. They have Tyrese Halliburton, Nemhard, Tristan Newton they drafted. I think he's very, very underrated. TJ McConnell. They have Wiseman as a backup forward. Aaron Nesmith was great. Miles Turner. And of course, they have Pascal Siakam. They're not better than the Knicks or the Celtics on paper. No. And I think the addition of Paul George to the Sixers, me thinking that's like the perfect fit for Philly is, and I think maybe a slight regression is why I have Indiana in sixth and not as high as some of the other people. I don't know if Indiana really has it in them to pull off right now, at least to pull off what they did last year. I think they have the potential to be great, but I just don't see it. So I am putting Indiana in P6 and coming in number five, in the number five spot, a team that was very hard to rank as well, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Milwaukee, a lot of people are not high on. They have two of the best scorers in the game. The depth's irrelevant. Chris Middleton struggling to stay healthy. They have some solid little signings, Gary Trent, DeLon Wright, Taurean Prince, but they aren't what they were. But if Giannis and Damian Lillard can stay healthy for a long time, they can be the number five team in the East. I think if there is a team for Indiana to jump, it would be Milwaukee. I just don't know if you can counter the two great scoring options of Damian Lillard and Giannis. I think that might be a struggle for for most teams still, no matter who it is. I think this team might underperform still, and I have them finishing in fifth, though Giannis and Damian Lillard, I still think have great seasons, but I just don't know if the group around them is good enough to elevate this team to a championship contender status. Coming in at number four, a team I love overrating every year for some reason, and yet I'm doing it again. Sort of. And that's Cleveland. Now, Cleveland in number four had a million injuries last year, and they're able to push through and make it to, I believe, the second round last season. Now, the distractions and the ideas of the core not being locked down long term, far behind. That's very, very good. The problem is going to be what level are they going to be at? They have some good size. They have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, a very tall front court, back court headlined by Darius Garland and, of course, Donovan Mitchell. Health is the question for them. This is why they're not third. Health is the question. If this team can stay healthy, they are better than Philly and will have a real shot at being the number two team in the East, ahead of New York or Boston, depending on who I put there. And this team can be really good. But their big question, and this is what hurt them last year, is their health. Can Donovan Mitchell, I'm sorry, a guy who's been at my school before a couple of years ago when Patino was here. Can Donovan Mitchell, can Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and the rest of that team keep it together, stay healthy, and if they can all stay healthy for at least the majority of the season, this team is going to be a championship contender. And but for right now, I have Cleveland in fourth due to the uncertainty of the health of their team as a whole. Coming in at number three, a team I just mentioned, and that is Philadelphia. Now, my champions of the offseason, Philadelphia. I think I'm going to get a lot of hate for this pick. Now, Philly lost to the Knicks in the playoffs last season. Um, they are going to be in the same boat as Cleveland. That's going to be health for them. The fun part is that instead of maybe one or two elite players like Cleveland does, or Cleveland has, Philly's got three of them, which is why they're ahead. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and PG-13. Like this is better than whatever James Harden had when he was on this team. There's a universe where they can stay healthy. I think they can stay healthy, but last year it was injuries in the postseason to Joel Embiid, really hurting them last season. I think they can really make a real statement in the East in the regular season. The playoffs are like it. I'll say this now. I'll say this for a lot of other teams are a completely different animal. But right now, I think this big three of Philadelphia, league altering Philadelphia in third. And coming in number two and number one. Second, I have the Knicks. First, I have Boston. Now, the Knicks trade, I haven't really talked about this at all. I was waiting for this video to talk about the Knicks acquiring Karl Anthony Towns, trading Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. What do I think this New York team? How good is this New York Knicks team, Robbie? That's probably what you're asking yourselves. And I will tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, this team is a championship contender, whether you like to put it or not. I personally am not the biggest fan of the squad they've built. They traded one of their better players from last season in Dante DiVincenzo, as well as a guy who's been here for multiple years in Julius Randle. But when you're led by a player as good as Jalen Brunson, and with the talent they have around him, they're having the potential to be a real challenge for Boston in a different type of way. They have OG Anunoby, defensive menace. They have Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Bubble God, TJ Warren, one of my favorite players, Precious Achiuwa, Josh Hart, uh, Deuce McBride, who I think is going to take another step this season. This team can be really, really good, but they're not on the same level roster-wise as Boston, and they haven't been able, and they struggle to beat Indiana, and they're another team that struggled with injuries down the stretch. However, with the depth that the New York Knicks have, I am putting them in second with an MVP caliber season from Jalen Brunson, and the new connection between him and Cat, I think, is going to be a problem for the Eastern Conference. Give me the Knicks in second. Following them, well, ahead of them, I think we all know who I'm putting first. Boston. High. The reigning champions are my first place team in the East. There isn't another team that will compete with them. They had injury issues of their own during the playoffs. They lost Kristaps Porzingis, and then he came back. But they have the bigs, they have the guard play to compete with anyone in the at least Eastern Conference. They have the talent to really, really run the table with anybody. Now, I do believe, in comparison, there are three or four teams that can run the table with Boston. The issue is the Boston team is this Boston team going to take a step back after winning the championship? That's the big question for teams like this. Are they going to be taking a step back, or are they going to be able to continue to be dominant, continue to be the team that everyone pictured that they were going to be, and be that true contender, long-term superstar built team, that new generation altering team? I don't know. A franchise that continues to be dominant. That's the way you want to put it. I think they can be, but I do think they take a little bit of a step back this season in the East. I still think they win it, the regular season spot, Eastern Conference, but there will be teams that can really challenge them. And we'll talk about that more during my NBA awards stuff later. Over to the West, because I've taken a long time already. And starting us off in the West is the worst team in the West, Portland. They used to be good. Now they suck. Um, they do boast a couple of intriguing players. Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Jeremy Grant, and Anthony Simons. The problem is that Shaden Sharp, I guess, I think half of them will be traded by the deadline. They're kind of like where Washington is. Cooper Flag, be prepared to um, maybe go to Portland. I think they'll be in the race for Cooper Flag all year. If Cooper Flag is going to continue to be the top prospect, I do see Portland continuing to be in the mix for a Cooper Flag all year. They're the worst team in the West. But there is a team that can really compete with them for the worst team in the West. And that is my 14th seeded Utah Jazz prediction. Now, um, Lauri Markkanen can't be traded yet. So they do have him locked up for a little bit. They are a team that can really sell at the deadline and declare full rebuild. They have players like Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton, John Collins. They could trade them. But this team did flirt and was close to making the play-in last year. I think they take a massive step back. They don't have the quality to compete for a play-in spot. They compared to some of these other teams, I have them in 14th. Last year they finished in 12th. I think they take a step back. Some teams got better. They got worse. 14th, Utah. In 13th position, I am going with San Antonio. Now, they are going to will be one of the teams that takes a step forward. They added defense with the Stephon Castle pick, a guy who, coming out of UConn, great defender. I think he can really help. They added a couple of other players. If we take a look at the Spurs roster, we all know about Victor Wembanyama. We all know about Devin Vassell. They just traded for Jalen McDaniels for some reason, though there's rumors that he's going to be waived by SA. So, do they have some great players? Yes, I think they do. Keldon Johnson. They have Chris Paul running the one. I think Jeremy Sohan can still be great at the forward position. Brandon Boston's underrated. Malachi Flynn's not bad. They have Zach Collins. We already mentioned Devin Vassell. Shout out to my guy Julian Champagny. They also have Harrison Barnes. So they got some veterans. They got some okay players. They're not going to be really competing for a playing spot. They could, but I just don't think they take it as big of a step as some might think. And therefore, I have them in 13th. Coming in 12th is the team that will take the biggest drop from last season. And I'm going to overreact a little bit here. And that is the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, LA, they lost Paul George. They overpaid to retain James Harden. Kawhi Leonard is continuing to have knee issues. And he will be out possibly to start the season as they begin their own new era with the Intuit Dome, which looks awesome, by the way. They have Harden, they have Terrence Mann and Norman Powell and Zubac. But there isn't much optimism for them anymore, like there was in seasons past. When they had players like Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Paul George and Kawhi, you thought, I mean, heck, they could maybe make a run, but they were just never able to put it together. You remember years ago when they traded for, who was it? Kawhi signed with the Clippers, and then the Clippers traded for Paul George from the Thunder. Wow, what a time that was, by the way. Now they are eating the repercussions of that. They don't have a first round pick of their own. for 6 years. 2030 is their next, so 5 years, really. 5 or 6 years. 2030 is their next own first round pick for themselves. So they're going to be possibly scratching a playing spot. I just don't see it for them. Clippers in 12th. They are taking the biggest fall off. In 11th, and what I think could be the final year of Stephen Curry in Golden State, maybe. Who knows? Maybe they trade him. Maybe he leaves. I don't know. They've really changed the Golden State Warriors. They are in 11th for me. There has to be significant jumps from young players. I think the player that will take that big jump is Jonathan Kuminga, the young prospect. I like him a lot. He brings a lot to the Warriors. When he puts the ball on the deck, you know he can make a good move and get to the basket. Andrew Wiggins needs to come back to form. But in the end, we've known for how long we've watched basketball. With Stephen Curry leading the way, anything is really possible. However, I just don't see it for Golden State this year. Losing Klay Thompson sucks. They replaced him with DeAnthony Melton and Buddy Hield, which I think can work. I really think that can work. But in a part of the conference that will be eternally mid, I think the worst of the mid is Golden State. I'm going to have them in 11th. Coming in at number 10, a team I don't like whatsoever this season. That's the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, JJ Redick has a lot to do this season. I think he can be a true leader and a head coach that can make some noise and help his team be improved. I just don't know about the health of players like AD. Like, can he stay healthy for a full season? They have better leadership. The bench is not bad. Max Christie, Jackson Hayes, Jared Vanderbilt. They drafted Dalton Connect. I think Dalton Connect has the potential to be one of the best shooters and one of the better players on this Lakers team, if not in the West. I think he could be really intriguing. The question is how much they play him. I think he could be a star if they play him, give him a good amount of minutes. Of course, they have Bronny too, but their bench is not good. And I think with the lack of star talent after the players I've mentioned, or like competent players I've mentioned, I think they're not going to be good. LeBron and AD can only do so much. Austin Reeves and them can only do so much. Give me the Lakers in 10th. Coming in number 9. I don't even know where they are on my sheet here. It's this team that a lot of people like, but I don't see the jump that people expect, and that's Memphis. Now, Memphis has a lot of very intriguing pieces. Ja Morant is back and can be a menace. He will be one of the main reasons why this team can be in the top 6. However, I'm usually not one of the ones to overreact and put a team to soar that high. I think Memphis is going to be in the 8-9 spot. I think they could really make the playoffs. This team is a playoff team. I have them in 9th in the regular season standings, but I have them winning the play-in. Getting out of the play-in and moving on to the NBA playoffs. I think they can do it. I think the team in 8th and 6th and 7th, 8th, 9th can all be flipped. I'm just not ready to overreact. They do have Marcus Smart. I think he can be great with this group. Zach E and company. I think Memphis can really compete, but they have a lot to build on. And I think they can take the jump, but I just don't know how big of a jump that's going to be. So therefore, I'm putting Memphis at 9. I think they have top 5 team potential, but I'm keeping Memphis in 9th for now. I know, bit harsh. I know, but I'm keeping them in 9th for now. The team that they're going to beat in the NBA play-in is next. That is the Sacramento Kings. Now, I'm just trying to load in some stuff right now. There we go. So we will have, I don't know why this is not loading the awards. I don't know why this is not loading in the awards. All right, there we go. Okay. Apologies about that, chat. Um, I have the Sacramento Kings finishing eighth. Now they added DeMar DeRozan, they added a couple of good players, but they're going to be a team that we all think can be really good, but they're going to not be as great. Just putting that lightly. Sacramento, if you look at what they have, the Sacramento Kings team, um, who felt it last season in a very stacked Western Conference. They got really unlucky. They have De'Aaron Fox and Keegan Murray, Sabonis, and DeMar DeRozan. Their bench sucks. They're finishing in eighth, and I think they get eliminated in the play-in by a Memphis team that can really make some noise. So I'm gonna have Memphis making it in the playoffs over the Sacramento Kings. Because they lack depth after Malik Monk on the bench. So I'm going to have the Sacramento Kings finishing eighth. No, actually, switch that. Sacramento's going to ninth. And just to make this easier for me, I'm going to have Memphis in eighth, Sacramento in ninth. So Memphis in eighth, Sacramento in ninth, just so I can make it easier, put Memphis in the playoffs. So Memphis is eighth. Seventh is the Houston Rockets, a team everybody loves this year. Now, the Houston Rockets, who were 41 and 41 last year, they got Reed Shepherd, who's looked really, really good. Ime Aduka as head coach. He really helped elevate this group as well. They have Sengun, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith. They have Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd. They have youth. They're going to be fast. They're going to be annoying to play against. And I think this can be really problematic. They have Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Steven Adams to bring Jeff Green to bring in that veteranosity. This team can be really, really dangerous, like top 5 in the West dangerous. But I don't know if they're there yet. So therefore, I'm putting the Houston Rockets, a team I'm a big fan of this season, top five team potential in the West. I'm having them in 7th. I think the West is going to be really loaded in the middle of the table from like 5th, from like 6th down to 11th. I think a lot of them are going to be very interchangeable. So I'm going to have the Houston Rockets though in 7th. I think they still can be really, really great. In number 6, I have the New Orleans. No, not New Orleans. Where are they on my sheet? There they are. Phoenix. Depth is not great. They have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Tyus Jones, Grayson Allen, I guess. Who else is there? I think they're going to be there's going to be better connections, better electric connections between Durant, Beal, and Booker. I just don't know. They're not going to be able to compete. The lack of depth is going to kill them. The lack of elite depth is going to hurt them. So I'm going to have the Suns in 6th. If coming in 5th is the team that I think will overachieve the most, and that is New Orleans. Now, they were 49-33 last year, and I think they're going to have a similar record again. They have Zion, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones. They added DeJounte Murray at the point guard position. They got some quality role players. They have a squad that really works around Zion. If Zion can stay healthy, this team's going to be a real contender out in the West. The question will be health, just like it is for most of these other teams that I've talked about. But with the way this New Orleans team is built, they can be really dangerous. But I'm just not ready to be as high on them as some of the others. I'm going to have the New Orleans Pelicans taking a nice step up and finishing in 5th place in the regular season out in the West. In 4th, a team that I don't think a lot of people are high on this season. They were 57-25 last year. I have them finishing with 54 wins this year. And that is the whatever seed I'm on. Sorry, wrong team. In 4th, I am going to have a drop off by Minnesota. Now, this one's a harsh one. I think the top four will all be separated by less than 4 games. They traded Cat for DiVincenzo and Randall, which I think was a not as bad of a trade for Minnesota as they thought they would get. They not as bad as a return as they thought they would have. They have Anthony Edwards, DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. It's not the end of the world. Rob Dillingham also, I think he'll be in the starting lineup. That starting lineup can be really, really good. The question is going to be, can they keep up the level that they had last year? And without Cat, I don't see it. I think they're going to be close. I just don't see them being better than some of the other teams that I mentioned. They have a lot of talent. I do think Anthony Edwards has a good shot at winning MVP this season. I really do. But they're going to really need to have a high level of play if they want to be top three. I don't see them consistently doing it. So give me the Minnesota Timberwolves fourth. I know, harsh, but fourth. Very close, but I'm having them in fourth. In third, I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Denver Nuggets bring the one thing that I love in these predictions, and that is experience in the playoffs. Now, they've lost a lot. They did lose KCP and Bruce Brown, but Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Jamal Murray have a tall task ahead. Aaron Gordon, they have Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, young wings that I'm a very big fan of, and I think that all can really contribute on this team. Of course, they have Russell Westbrook as a backup point guard. He might win Sixth Man of the Year. Who the hell knows? This core is locked up, but it could lead them. I think this is where the downfall could begin for them after this season because of the contracts and everything. But they are going to have to rely on the aging depth. This is my team that can. This is the last year where Denver is going to be in this phase of being contenders because of the lack of money within the team in terms of cap space. I don't know. They're going to need the wings to step up, the young players. I think they can do it. I really think some of this young depth, headlined by Christian Braun and Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson, I think after they've really struggled to start their careers, I think they can step it up this season. This is a season where they need them to step up in order to continue to compete with teams in the West. I think they do it. Give me them in third. I know I'm overrating Denver. I do that like every year. So give me Denver in third. Coming up in second, I have the Dallas Mavericks. Now, they added Klay Thompson, which I think is a really weird fit, but I think it can work. Gives them more shooting that they didn't really have last season. They remember, they had Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington at the deadline. They added those two, Klay, Luka, Kyrie. I mean, what this team can really do has the chance to be really, really special. I think this team will be back as a big time spot in the playoffs, headlined by perennial MVP candidate Luka Doncic. They, as Luka and Kyrie and Klay, as the guards / wings, have to be able to create enough scoring to be able to compete with some of these other teams. And I think they can really, really do it. The issue for them is who's actually going to play defense. They have not a lot of defense at the guard position. The forwards are great, but I just don't know at the guards if they're going to have enough pieces to really keep them in defensively in games. You saw that struggle in the conference final and the NBA finals when they played Boston last year. So the team that won the West last year, I have them finishing second in the regular season in the West this year, and they're going to be topped by one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA, Oklahoma City. Now, they really exceeded expectations, and they made some amazing signings. The youth, they have experience. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren and Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Like, remember when the Thunder kept trading for like infinite picks? It's all come down to this season. Take a look at their team. This is the West roster that we're going to go into. They are good, like really good. If you look at this team, they're going to likely be starting Shea Caruso, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein. They have Luke Wentz, Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Carson Wallace, Isaiah Joe. Um, they have a couple other players, but they're dealing with some really injury problems. I think they're going to be a team that's very active at the deadline. I think they're going to really, really run the table. But this starting lineup and the way I think they can really jump this season is going to be an issue. They've really mixed together with the ingredients and the pieces they have. They've really built something out there in the West. The playmaking and the rebounding, and that's why they lost. At the playmaking after losing to the secondary playmaking failed. The rebounding sucked. But they added more wings. They signed Isaiah Hartenstein to get the rebounding. This team fixed their holes and will be a championship contender once again this season. My top spot in the West. All right, time to go over the awards. Are you ready for some awards? Kicking it off, we'll go with the what do I want to go with? No, we'll go with the NBA Finals. We'll go with NBA Finals first. So my NBA Finals, right now, they're really lame, but I have both 1 seeds. Oklahoma City and Boston as my NBA Finals. And I think this is the year. I don't see Boston winning back-to-back. And I have a monster year from Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the Canadian. And my prediction is Oklahoma City wins the NBA championship. I think they really have the pieces. They're going to be able to trade with what else they have with picks and everything. So they have the chance to make something really, really special and finally bring a championship to Oklahoma City. They deserve it. Their fans deserve it. And with an MVP candidate like Shea, I think OKC does it. Speaking of MVP candidates, who's my MVP this year? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, leading the way for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. He's the MVP of the NBA this season, helping to eventually lead his team to an NBA championship. Now, this is where it gets really dicey. We're going to start us off with the DPOY. Now, I think there's a lot of players that can really be in the race for this. I am going to go, do I go with Chet Holmgren? Chet Holmgren was my original shout for this. I am going to go with, I don't want to ride the OKC train the whole time. I think they're going to pick Wemby. But watch, I'm going to put Wemby over Chet in the battle of the young guns. Wemby over Chet, I think, is the right answer for that one. 6th man of the year. Now, there's a lot of good answers for this one, too. We're just going to speed through the awards. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with a guy who I forgot to mention. 6th man of the year. A player who I completely forgot to mention and would be a reason why. This is a really tough one. Because I want to pick like a Malik Monk or Naz Reid. I'm going to go with Naz Reid over I'm going to go with Naz Reid. I think that's a very fair shout. I think Naz Reid is going to be my answer for that. 6th man of the year. He can really defend down there in the post. He can score a little bit. Coming off the bench, I think that's the right answer. 6th man of the year, I'm going to go with Naz Reid. I think it's the right answer for that one. Rookie of the year, they're really loving the Zach Edey shout. Um, my answer is going to be, is Reed Shepherd going to be able to do a lot? Reed Shepherd is a really good shout for this. A lot of people like players like Dillingham and Ron Holland. Jared McCain's another one that I forgot to mention earlier. Uh, Philip Pasky on Utah, absolutely not. I'm gonna go with Reed Shepherd, and he's gonna be one of the guys that really helps build the depth in the Houston Rockets. As they continue to go on. Coach of the year, I don't think this is a no-brainer. Coach of the year, Thibodeau. Who do I have top five again? This is a tough one. Yikes. Where is he? Where is he? I want to pick Willie Green because they're gonna be the only reason that they're gonna be that team can be relevant. It might has to be Mike Daniel though. How do you say that name? Dagno? Whoever the Thunder coach is. There you go. Dagno. Thunder. Um, is gonna be my answer for this. And then comeback player of the year. Uh, um, this is a tough one too. Oh, most improved. That's what it is. MIP, not comeback player of the year. It's most MIP. MIP. Who am I gonna bank on having a big season this year to finish off the awards? Most improved. I am going to go with. Does Jalen Green count for this? What was Jalen Green's numbers last year? No, I'm not going with another Rockets player. I cannot go with another Rocket. I am going to go with Evan Mobley over Actually, yeah, let's go Evan Mobley over Jalen Williams. I'm going to go with Evan Mobley. I think he has the potential to really make himself as one of the better centers out in the East, and he'll be my most improved. So, just for reference, we're going to run through the standings real quick. Top seed in the East is Boston, then New York, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Indiana, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, Charlotte, Detroit, Brooklyn, and Washington are my 15 in order out in the East, with Boston winning the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, in the West, we have Oklahoma City, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota, New Orleans, Phoenix, Houston, Memphis, Sacramento, Lakers, Golden State, Clippers, San Antonio, Utah, and Portland, with Oklahoma City winning the Western Conference Finals. Champions are Oklahoma City. MVP is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. DPOY is Wembanyama over Chet Holmgren. Sixth man of the year is Naz Reid of the Timberwolves. Rookie of the year is Reed Shepherd of the Rockets. Coach of the year is Mike Dagano, sure, of whoever the Thunder coach is. And most improved player is Evan Mobley. Apologies if there's anything I missed in my predictions. Make sure to sorry if my hair is a little bit of a mess as well. Comment below how bad my predictions were. We'll revisit these later in the season. NBA season right around the corner. Enjoy the start of the NBA season in just a couple days' time. I think it's like 10 days. I don't even know. But that will be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Next one is NHL season preview, even though it's like 2 weeks in already. It's Friday. Make sure to stay tuned in for that one. But for now, I'm Robbie Basel saying so long. Enjoy your week. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.